So when a student's being bullied, there are approaches through the individualized education program that can be taken for a student who has a disability. But in addition, there are other ways of intervening besides through the IEP that parents and school districts should take a look at. And one of them is what we call the school-wide approach. What's that, Julie?
Well, it's also a very proactive approach, and that is where you look at the problem of bullying and the challenge of bullying as a school-wide issue, not just the student, not just the student through their IEP, but what can you do as a school? Well, many schools are already going to have a bullying program in place, but you really need to take a look at that program and see if it's actually effective. That's a whole other issue. But you can have all sorts of things in a school that promotes not bullying one another. So it might be that you have discussions within your classroom, and you might have those discussions every day. Could be that the students sign a contract saying they're not going to do X, Y, and Z, which looks like bullying. But the point is that you can get kids involved and teachers involved in heightening the awareness of the bullying issue. And along those lines, beyond sort of everybody getting involved to promote anti-bullying, is also staff training.
Right.
That's a really important one, Jen.
Well, I think what you're talking about here is being proactive, not just reactive, but proactive to make sure that the climate of the school is conducive to kids being nice to each other. I mean, that's really the upshot, and not targeting one another. And so that's a climate approach. That's a good proactive response from a school district to say, you know, we know it happens, we know it's going to happen, and so we want to prevent it. So at the other end of the spectrum from being, you know, preventative is unfortunately where you have to get much more reactive. And that would be where sometimes you have to involve the criminal charges. Sometimes, you know, parents often think something happened at school, my chain of command is to go through the school, and they leave out in their heads that, in fact, a crime might have occurred. Now, I wouldn't say that's always your first go-to place. It depends on the circumstances, but if my child was physically assaulted, I'm going to the police, and that's what you should do if it's a physical assault. And so, you know, some parents just say, well, I'll go to the school, and I'll take it up there, and that may be your decision as a family. But if there's been a crime, then the police should be involved, at least on some level, especially if it's a real physical altercation where your child was injured.
Right. And hopefully it doesn't get to that level, and one would hope that it shouldn't get to that level. But let's be realistic. Sometimes it does, and so always you want to go to the police if in fact you think that the crime needs to be reported in that way.